Welcome to Plants and Society. What better place to introduce you to the class than standing in front of my friend's garden? Thankfully, I have a friend who is willing to lend me their garden today so that I could talk to you a little bit about what to expect with this class and introduce you to some of the things that we're going to be doing. Now, one of the things that I think is really challenging with this class is that we have to unlearn so many things. Now, most of you might think this is a vegetable garden, and in botany, there's no such thing as a vegetable. So we need to start seeing these plants more through the lens of botany than through the lens of our grocer or through the lens of even a chef in the culinary world. So, when we talk about plants, everything above ground is going to be called the shoots, and everything below ground is going to be called the roots. One of the things you're going to be doing this semester is you're going to be growing fast plants. I'll give you the seeds in the first week of class. We'll plant them, and within just a couple of days, they're going to put up 2 little heart-shaped cotyledons. Those 2 cotyledons are seed leaves. They're not true leaves. They're just there to help get the plant started. Now, eventually, your plants will start to bloom. They'll put up pretty little yellow flowers and hopefully even make fruit. Now, the one thing that's going to be really challenging for us to understand or to visualize is that those little fast plants that we're growing are related to these monstrous purple cabbages here in the back of me. So if we wanted to, we could eat them, but clearly they're going to be way too tiny compared to their relatives here, the monstrous cabbages. So in this class, yes, you're going to be growing little seeds. It's okay if your seeds die. Just get some new seeds during the next lab and start over again. The whole point is for you to watch this plant develop and then take the stuff that you're learning in the textbook, the stuff that we're doing in lab, the stuff that we're doing in lecture, and bring it to your observations of this little plant growing. I think sometimes that can really help us to learn about things and understand what's going on. This is a lab and a lecture class combined. So it's going to seem like you are doing a lot for just this one class. But in the 103 and 104 class, which is also a lecture and a lab, but those are separate, I know from teaching those two together that the amount of work that we're doing in this class is the same as other labs and lectures that aren't together in the same class, all as one unit. So it's going to seem like a lot. You have lecture slides. You'll have lecture quizzes and lecture homework. You'll have lab reports and lab quizzes. We'll have unit exams that cover everything we did in lecture and everything we did in lab. The whole point of the lab is to reinforce everything that you're doing in lecture. So most of the time our lab is going to be really nicely synced up with the lecture. There's just a couple of times here at the beginning where I stretch a lab out a little bit longer so that you can get used to how we do things, and that's going to make us a little bit out of sync as far as our unit exams are concerned. And for the most part, what you're playing around with in the lab class will benefit and help you to understand what we're doing in lecture. Now, let me talk a little bit about lecture. The textbook is boring. It's really, really, really detailed. It's hard to find a textbook that is at our level. And so I have to use this textbook. This is where the lecture slides are going to be really important, because those lecture slides are where I'm interpreting the textbook, bringing in some of my own personal experience and some of the advice and the voice of my colleagues. So with the lecture slides, you're going to get an interpretation, what I consider to be important, and how I'm linking everything together in this larger relationship between plants and people. We are so deeply dependent upon plants. I really, really, really am looking forward to helping you see all of the weird ways that we're connected and helping you to understand how these organisms that we're so dependent upon grow, how they live, how they interact with the world. We really are part of their world. They're not part of our world. That's how dependent we are on plants. I will have office hours held through Zoom. Zoom's fairly straightforward and easy to use. If those office hours listed in the syllabus don't work for you, please just send me an email. Maybe we can find a time that does work. I want to make sure to answer any questions that you might have. So this is where I get to tell you, please, please, please send me an email. I can answer so many things through email. It's really, really, really shocking. If you say nothing, I assume that everything is going well and that you don't need my help and that you're having, you're understanding everything okay and it's all working out. If you don't communicate, I don't know. So please, please, please communicate to me if you need any help. My last piece that I have to talk to you today about is the idea that we are going to have to split in half in order to do the lab. Half of you will be in lab on Tuesdays and half of you will be in lab on Thursdays. So when it comes to scheduling, this is something that's going to have to be so personal to you, depending on when you're taking lab, depending on your other classes, work, and other responsibilities. That's kind of the beauty of the online portion of this class. You only have to be on campus in a class for the lab, which most of the time will take the full 2 hours and 40 minutes. The rest of the time you can, this bee is right next to me. There we go. He just went away. Didn't want to disturb the bee. I smell a little bit like a flower because of my body lotion. This is a good time to learn about the idea that the bees aren't actually interested in us. We need them to survive. Their populations are so low. So if a bee is coming near, just stay still and they will go away. Okay, where was I? I was talking about scheduling. The time you have to be on campus is just for your lab, whenever that's going to be. The rest of the time, you're going to have to figure out what works best. The assignments, whether it's lecture homework, plant journals, lab reports or lab quizzes or lecture quizzes, all of those will be due Saturdays at 11:59 p.m. So you have to set your own deadlines. You have to get things done early. Maybe you'll do all of your lab reports on Fridays, take the quizzes on Saturday mornings. I don't know what will work best for you, but you have to figure out when you want to get these things done. Late work is not accepted, so you can't miss those deadlines. Our unit exams will open Sunday morning at 5 a.m. and will close Monday at 11:59 p.m. You've got plenty of time to schedule that exam into your schedule. Make sure you've got a quiet place where you can take that exam. Exams generally take about an hour. So you want to make sure to have that quiet, uninterrupted space where you can just focus on taking the exam. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for the introduction to the course. When you get questions, please make sure to email me or stop into those Zoom office hours. And I look forward to meeting you, learning more about you, and sharing a lot of information about all of this delicious food. I'm actually getting really hungry and I'm probably going to start to graze here in my friend's garden, as long as I don't get caught.